Yeah, we're ready. Welcome back to Dress Your Face Live, everybody. How was your weekend? I can't believe it is already Monday. Hopefully you guys had a great week and we are back with an incredible class. You guys all saw the video on my page today and it kind of went a little viral. Definitely a cool before and after. Her eyes are so beautiful. I can't wait for you to meet my model. And we're about to do a really amazing full face tutorial, but the gist of today's class is how to do that beautiful classic smoky eye without the risk of fallout turning into raccoon eyes or panda eyes. We want to overcome that struggle and just do the perfect classic smoky eye with none of the bad stuff. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a client come to me saying that they love smoky eye, but they're afraid to do it because they have dark circles. And there are so many ways to combat all of that to create the perfect smoky eye, even on someone that has dark circles, and even on someone that may even have bags under their eyes. There's totally ways to camouflage it, and so I'll show you some of those ways today in class. Before we get started, I want you guys to take a look at the latest post that I posted on Instagram, which looks like this right over here, the 3-step Instagram post. I want you guys to go ahead and comment whatever questions you have regarding today's class. Comment it on that post on my page so that after the class is over, I can sit down again and go down some of the more popular questions and help to answer those for you. So remember, this is the post that you're going to ask your questions on, and I'll go ahead and answer them once we get to the Q&A portion of this class. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my beautiful model. We're gonna switch seats here. This is Angelie. Hello. So you got a lot of comments today. A lot of people think you look like Aishwarya Rai and Mila Kunis, as if they both had a love child. That's her. And you are, okay, let's talk about your your ethnicity.
Okay. So my dad is full Indian and then my mom is half French and half Scottish.
Awesome. Isn't that a crazy mix? Oh, I love it. So she has big, beautiful eyes and she has great skin, but of course, like we all, well, not we all, but most of us have this problem, especially from Indian descent. We have a little bit of darkness around our eyes, and I want to show you how to conceal that and still really show off those big, beautiful eyes by creating a classic smoky look today. So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and prime her face. I always love to do face first and then eyes because I feel like I have a better understanding of the facial structure that way. And for me, eyes is a very detailed thing, and I like to do that after the big stuff is done. So for those of you who have been my students for a while now, you guys already know this, that I love to do face first. So we're gonna just dive into the base, and then I'll show you how to do that classic smoky eye within just a few really simple steps. But it's very important to get that perfect concealer first. So first step is going to be her primer. I'm gonna ask her, what type of skin do you have? Is it dry, oily, or combination?
It's a pretty combination.
All right. So in that case, I'm going to be using my favorite primer for combination skin, which is the YSL Touche Eclat Blur. It's a very creamy gel kind of a consistency. I'll show you what that looks like right now. If I can find it, that would be terrific. Let's see here. Thanks. There it is, right in front of my face. Okay, this is what it looks like, you guys. It comes in a nice clear glass pump, and you can find this at Sephora. It's really amazing. Again, it's the YSL Touche Eclat Blur Primer. It's a great silicone-based gel primer. So you put it on the back of your hand or on a palette, and you can go ahead and start prepping the skin. So we're gonna zoom in so you can see her face in a nice clear fashion. And I'm gonna go ahead and start priming her skin. I like to use my fingers so that I can feel that the primer is really going on nice and smooth on her skin here. Alrighty. And there we go. We have a nice, smooth, primed face. Now we're going to go ahead and throw on some foundation. The foundation that I'm going to use on her is my MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation in NC25. Again, I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand. Just like this. And I'm going to use my Morphe 427 brush. Morphe, I do have a discount code for you guys who love Morphe brushes. Simply enter DYF at checkout on morphebrushes.com and you can get whatever you want at an extra discount. And notice how I'm stippling the product into her skin. I'm pushing it right into her skin to create a very flawless, full coverage. I like to work on one side of the face first, and then I can move on to the other side of the face. That way I know I'm not skipping over anything, and I'm not dotting foundation everywhere and then blending, because if you do that, the foundation is going to start to dry in certain areas before you get to the blending portion. So I like to kind of blend as I go, section by section. All right, now I'm gonna do the other side. Pushing the foundation into the skin and dabbing it until it starts to dry and set. Again, this is a Morphe 427 brush. And my discount code with Morphe is DYF. Looking good. I love this color on you. It's just a little bit warmer than your actual skin tone, but we can always brighten that up using the highlight products. I noticed that I'm just dragging it down to the neck to make everything look absolutely perfect. So now that the foundation is on, we can work on the concealer. What I love to do is use an orange tone concealer, a color corrector, right around the eye area to re-brighten dark circles. The set that I want to show you is the MAC Correct and Conceal palette. I feel like every makeup artist that has to deal with dark circles with their clients should have one of these. This is medium deep from MAC. Again, the Conceal and Correct palette. And this lower color here is the orange. And that's the one that I'm going to use to really brighten up the dark circles. And then we can use her own skin color concealer over that to really lock it in place and to hide any orange. I'm going to use my MAC 287 brush to apply the product onto the back of my hand and go ahead and look up. I'm going to stamp it right on the darkest areas of her eyes. So in the video that I posted, it was quite fancy. In the real world, you won't have to use that much product. It's just so much fun for videos and for photos. But when you're actually working on a client and you're in a hurry and you just got to get the stuff on, only focus it on the areas of her eyes that are dark. So now all her dark areas have turned orange, and that's exactly what we wanted. Again, focusing on just the shadowy dark areas. Not bringing it all over the place. And turn my way a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. And then close your eyes. We're going to do this inner circle here too. And a little bit on the eyelid. So any areas that are dark, go ahead and throw on this orange color. Go ahead and open your eyes. Yep. So now you see where the corrective colors go. If she was dark anywhere else, a lot of people are dark around their mouth area. She doesn't have any major issues with that, but I want to just demonstrate to you, a lot of people have some darkness here on their chin or on their other areas around their mouth. So you can absolutely use whatever's left on your brush to brighten up those areas using an orange concealer as well. So those are the main areas that I usually like to brighten up when I'm using orange. And now that those areas have been corrected, we can now go into her regular color concealer, and then we can work on the highlighting and the contouring. So for her regular color concealer, I'm actually going to use NC42. This is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. Now, the reason why I'm choosing NC42 and not NC25 like her skin color is because of the area around her eyes being darker than the rest of the face. If I go in with a really light color of concealer, even though I've already corrected it, chances are it's going to turn very ashy or gray or look very obviously like concealer. If I go with a warm color like this is NC42, it has a lot of orange built into it, and I conceal with this, it's actually going to keep that nice bright warm tone around her eyes and prevent it from looking too gray or too ashy. And keep in mind, the formula of Pro Longwear NC42 concealer actually does go on a lot lighter than the other NC42s in the other formulas. This I know only from experience. So I'm going to put a little bit of this concealer onto the back of my hand. And I'm going to use my MAC 287 brush, the same brush that I used for the orange concealer. I'm going to use it for this concealer. I'm going to put some on one side of the brush, and she's going to look up, and I'm simply going to stamp it all the way around the orange areas of her eyes. As I'm stamping, I am seeing that the product is starting to set and dry. That's exactly what I want. I want the product to set and dry so that it does not crease as badly as if it would if it's wet. So we're just stamping, stamping, stamping until the product dries. Go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to do the top as well. Stamp it across. Make sure any of the dark areas on the eyes are nicely covered in a nice thin layer of concealer. And look up again. We're just going to keep patting flatly with this brush until the product starts to dry. You can also do this step with the Beauty Blender, and I will demonstrate right now how I would do that with the Beauty Blender. I'm going to use the rest of this concealer around the lip region to hide the orange. Now with the Beauty Blender, here's a clean Beauty Blender right here. We're just going to dab around the eye area to absorb any excess moisture from the product. So it really sets nicely. So just light dabs throughout. Close your eyes. Make sure you get in the inner corners, dabbing throughout the lid, and now we can blend around the mouth. And we are now officially done with concealing and correcting, and we can move on to the highlighting and the contour. These are the highlight and contour products that I'm going to use. These are LA Girl Pro Conceals. We got the creamy beige and the beautiful bronze. I'm going to squeeze a little bit onto the back of my hand as my palette here, and I'm going to start drawing where I want to really highlight her. So I'm going to focus on the triangle under the eyes and go all the way up to the cheekbone. Keep in mind, you don't really necessarily need to go all the way up to the under eye area because you've already corrected that. So you're going to focus more on the actual highlight zone around it. I'm also going to go to the side of the nose with my highlights so I can create a very narrow bridge. So I'm covering up the width of her nose right now using the same color. And now we can brighten the chin, brighten the Cupid's bow. We can also go down the T-zone so we can brighten the center zone of the forehead. We can actually go all the way up. Since she has a smaller forehead, we don't have to contour it as much, so we're going to highlight. And we're going to make a nice line down the bridge of her nose. Just like that. So those are the areas we're highlighting. For the contour, we're not going to overly contour her. We're just going to create a stronger cheekbone and give her a little bit more definition in certain areas. So same thing with the Beautiful Bronze. I'm using the back of my hand as my palette. And by the way, it's very easy to clean these between each client. Just use an alcohol spray or spray it with brush cleaner. You can clean the brush and use it on your next client. So I'm going to move you this way, and we're going to draw a line in the angle from the top of the ear going towards the mouth, but we're going to float it just a little bit above the lowest corner of your mouth. So we're going to have it float right up here. That's where we're going to end this line. We'll do the same thing on the other side, top of the ear, and floating right above the corner of the mouth. We can actually bring this in a little bit more so you guys can see it better on this camera. I'm also going to contour the outer edge of the forehead. We don't necessarily need to contour all the way up here because she doesn't have a big forehead, so there's not much to contour here. We're going to focus more on the edges to create that three-dimensional effect of the forehead. We can also give a little bit of definition around the jawline. Go ahead and look to the side a little bit. Either side, yeah. So we have a little bit there. And then now we're going to work on the T-zone. So I'm going to go in and connect from the eyebrow, draw a line going all the way down to the tip of the nose. We'll do the same on the other side. Just as so. So it's two straight lines hugging right up against that contour, right up against that highlight in the center. And we can close the bottom, close the top to create a nice sharp tip on the nose. We can also darken up the center of the Cupid's bow. And if you want more pouty lips, you can also line the edges of the lips with this darker contour color to create a little bit more of that pouty lip effect. So those are the areas which we will use for contouring and highlighting. If you want to do maybe a side-to-side little pose, and you guys can take your screenshots and get a better idea of a more realistic highlight and contour application in the real world. Remember, if you take screenshots of today's class and post them either in a collage or in its own post on Instagram, be sure to hashtag DressYourFaceLive so I can see your posts and show you some love. The best way to give us feedback, especially give me feedback so I can read it, is to make a post by posting a picture from today's class, a screenshot either of this face now or the after or the before, however you want to do this. You can make a collage. A lot of my girls love making the collages. And then write down in your description what your favorite part about class was, what did you learn? And then I also want to know, what do you want to learn next time? So that would be your suggestion box, basically. I would look at your post. As long as your profile is not private, I'll be able to see your post. And then I want you to write down your suggestions for our next classes so we can listen to your requests. So here is your chance to screenshot. You got your screenshots. We got the side-to-side view looking very cool. And again, what we did in the video is just a fun, really cool, artsy, funky video. We had a great time doing it, but this is a more realistic, real-world version of what we did. Now time to blend. So I'm going to go in with my MAC 130 brush, and we're going to start blending all the highlight zones first by pushing it right into the skin. So push, push, push. It's melting into her skin beautifully. You can also do this step using a beauty blender, whatever floats your boat. I'm in love with my brushes, so I'm a brush girl, but if you love beauty blender, I have no problem with you guys using that. So right now I'm focusing only on the highlight zones, blending those all in, creating a nice smooth effect. All right, now it's time to blend in the contour zones. So we can use the Morphe 334 brush, Morphe 334, and we can use this to really chisel in the contour lines. So if you want to see a side view of what this looks like, I'm really just pushing in all this dark contour. And the cool thing about using a smaller brush is that you have a little bit more control over the edges. So this little edge here, you can use your finger to blend and melt, but using a small brush would basically work the same way. See how smooth that looks? And we're really gonna blend the jawline. The jawline, I love it to look almost non-existent. So I do this little rolly thing where I get this product to really melt into the jawline. I do not want to see an actual line. And now we're gonna blend in this temple zone and outer edge of the contour. This is going to create a nice oval effect on the face. You can use your fingers to further blend. And now let's work on the other side together. So do you see how nice and blended this side looks? And now we're going to work on this side. So same thing, starting with the outer portion, start working that brush into the contour and really get it to move. If you ever feel like there's just too much product on the skin, it might help for you to wipe off your brush on a clean paper towel or a tissue, and then with a cleaner brush, continue to blend. That way you're removing whatever the brush is picking up and you're not repositioning it back onto the face. And of course, use your finger to do some extra blending here and there. And now we have a beautiful chiseled cheekbone. Let's do this side here. Remember to push it right into the hairline so that there's no white halo around the hairline. It's all blended in. You can use your fingers to really smooth that out. And we really gotta blend that jawline. We don't want to see any brown lines on the side of the face. Circles can help to wipe off more product. All right, so now that the larger areas are blended, we're going to change the brush to a different brush for the smaller areas. So this is my MAC Oval number 3 brush, and I'm going to use this to start blending the nose. So I'm just going in an up and down motion, sliding down towards the tip of the nose. And I'm going to wipe off the brush before I move on to the other side so that I'm not redepositing product. And remember to remove the line on the bottom, and now we can work around the lips with the same brush, blending the edges. Literally like a toothbrush. This is the funniest thing. All right. And now we have an awesome, completely blended face. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use powders, full coverage MAC Studio Fix powders to set all these zones and create an even more perfect effect for the highlight and the contour. So first we're gonna use NC25 powder. And we're going to use Morphe M176 brush. I wanted to show you guys this brush because it fits so good under the eyes. The Morphe 176 brush. Go ahead and look up to the ceiling. We're going to use this to set the under eye concealer first with the MAC NC25 powder. This is Studio Fix powder, which is a full coverage powder foundation in one. And I love using this over the liquid foundation because it gives even more coverage when it's piggybacked like this. And it looks even more glamorous and perfect in photos, literally like Photoshop. I'm only gonna set with this one side of the face right now so you guys can see the difference. So all the highlight areas, go ahead and set with this powder. So all the side of the nose before you touch the contour. We got the cheekbone. We got the forehead. We got the chin area. Okay, so now you guys can see the difference. This side is much more airbrush looking, and this side is a little bit more unfinished. So having that mattified full coverage powder over the foundation really does make a huge difference overall with the flawless characteristics of the skin. And look up all the way again. We're gonna smooth it under eye before we set. And we're gonna make sure that this product goes all the way up into the lash line so that nothing creases throughout the day for you. And this is really what prevents that raccoon eyes when you're doing such a smoky look, because we have such a perfectly balanced and corrected skin tone around the eyes now. And because now we're setting with so much powder, we're really keeping it from getting dark over time. And see how I'm doing it in layers. I keep layering and layering and layering until everything looks perfect. So don't be afraid to use too much product, especially if their skin can handle it. Meaning if their skin isn't super wrinkled or super dehydrated, then it can handle a lot of powder. If you're working on someone more mature who is not able to handle this much powder, then as long as you have one good layer, you should be okay. But again, it's not gonna last as long as doing it this way. Remember to get the sides of the nose. We're gonna do the forehead. Other side of the chin. All right, so now all the highlight zones are complete. Let me get this inner part, okay? Now we're going to set the darker zones. So we're gonna go into the NC42 Max Studio Fix, several shades darker here. And the Morphe 438 brush. It's a great contour brush. Tap it off. And we're now going to use this to set the contour areas of the face. So side of the forehead and the cheekbone. We can also bring a little bit more bronze onto her neck, just for more color. So I'm going to drag some of this product down to her neck for that bronzy effect here. Awesome. And we can use a little bit of this with our little toothbrush brush and set the sides of the nose with this very lightly. See how I'm just barely touching? And we can do the same under the lip. Okay, so I barely touched and I just set very little. Now to blend in between all of this dark and all this light, we need a medium tone to really marry the two colors together and to create the perfect balance between the light and dark. So right in between, we're going to use another brush, the Morphe 523 brush with the NC40 powder. Okay, there's NC42, where's NC40? What? 41. Here's the 40. This is the NC40, which is a great color that's in between her light and dark. And I'm going to use this M523 brush here to first set all the zones that have not yet been set. So I'm setting the jawline with this. just to get product there. I'm going around the mouth with it. And now I can use this to blend in between my light and dark. So right in here, right in between the light and dark, we're going to use this color to just give it a nice blend. Do you see the difference? So over here, it's blended, and over here you see a strong line between the light and the dark. So this definitely creates a little bit more of that gradient for you, using a medium tone right in between your light and dark areas. So right here and right here, just for a softer contour. I also like to use this on the forehead in between the light and dark. So here I have the light, here I have the dark. Right in between, there's this little section here that I'm going to add the 40. And that really creates the perfect gradient there too. Lastly, we need it on the side of the nose. We only have light and dark on the nose and no medium. So I'm going to add a nice blanket of medium over everything on that contour line to create that perfect, bright gradient so it doesn't look too dark and too artificial. So now we have a blended nose contour, a blended cheek contour, and a blended forehead contour. Everything's looking absolutely beautiful and soft. If you want to really focus on the nose, at this time I go in with an eyeshadow brush to create a little bit more of a sharper nose if I wish to. One of my favorite brushes to create that is the Veramona double-ended brush. There's a wider, fluffier tip here, and then the tiny little detailer on this side. And I can use my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit. This is the banana with one side. Any of the sides are fine actually for this. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this color right on the bridge of the nose. Just like this. So while you're stamping, you're going to notice that the nose is going to look really nice and sharp, much more bold than using a regular powder. Okay, so now you can see a little bit more of that. If you want even more definition, then use the smaller brush. So you can literally draw the line all the way down, but either way you can create a really awesome bright band of color with either side of the brush. I love how bright that looks. And that transitions us really well into this next phase of the face, which is using this contour kit to really brighten up the rest of the face too. So if you choose to go a little brighter around the eyes, it's the perfect time to do that. I'm going to use the Morphe 529 brush for that. We're just going to brighten up using Banana from Anastasia Beverly Hills right around this entire cheekbone here, this upper cheekbone. This step is really optional. This is up to you and up to your client if you really like that extra brightening effect around the eyes. This really works well for that. But of course, if your client really doesn't want a strong highlight and contour, you can just stop at the previous step by setting each zone separately, and that still gives a highlighted and contoured effect. It's just not going to be as strong as with this banana. So go ahead and look up to the ceiling. We're going to brighten right around the groove of the eye to give you that super bright effect around here. Look how crazy, wow. Looks so, so bright and good. So if you like glamorous highlighting contour, then you will absolutely love this step of re-brightening the highlight areas. And you can absolutely go back into your contour brush and darken up any of the contour areas with a little bit of Havana or any of the darker shades in this palette. But I think we're gonna leave it at this because I love this so much. Now let's add a little blush to go right in between the contour and the highlight to finish off the face before we do any shimmer. So You can always do shimmer in between this step too. Like you could do shimmer now. That's kind of an optional thing too. But I want you guys to see how the blush looks on a matte skin before I add shimmer to it. So going back to, let's see which brush we're gonna use. This is the MAC Angled Cheek Brush. I'm just gonna grab some of this Tarte Cosmetics blush in Exposed. This color is called Exposed. It's a beautiful matte, soft mauve pink, rosy tone. And I'm just gonna dust it along her cheek, right in between her contour and her highlights. So right in here, right in between the contour and highlight, we're just dusting on a little bit of this beautiful shade to give her some color. Look how gorgeous that looks, so beautiful. So now you guys can get a nice full view, kind of side to side, of how beautiful her skin looks completely mattified. Now, if we wanted to add any shimmer, this is when I would go ahead and add that shimmer. If they request a dewier look, we can go ahead and grab the Anastasia Highlight Kit. This is the highlight shimmers here, the Glow Kit. And I'm going to go ahead and use the color called Bubbly. This is the Makeup Forever Straight Foundation Brush, number 108, right over here. And we're gonna apply the shimmer right along the top of the cheekbone. Go ahead and turn. See that beautiful shine? This color is called Bubbly. And we're applying it right along that cheekbone. And go ahead and turn my way. Same on this side, just really pressing it into the skin. And we can always use our fingers to make sure it's completely saturated into the skin. We're also doing a little bit on the top of the brow area, the forehead. And of course, I love to do a little bit right along the bridge of the nose, upper lip, and chin. And now she has more of a glowing effect with shimmer all throughout her cheekbones. We can go ahead and do a side-to-side turn. And now you see the same exact difference in highlighting contour, but this time with a little bit of added shine to create a little bit more of a glow. So now that her face is done, let's go ahead and move on to eyebrows and then eyes. I think you look beautiful just like this, just so you know. All right, so for the eyebrows, I'm going to be using the Brow Definer by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This color is called Chocolate. I'm first going to brush the powder away from her hair. She already has a great brow shape. We don't need to thicken it up or do anything major. We're just gonna fill in any gaps, really. So for now, let's groom the brows by brushing through, making sure all the little powder particles are off of the brow. And now we can go in and use this pencil just in the areas that need it. So right now I'm gonna brush the hair up. And I'm gonna use this pencil in any gaps that I see on the bottom edge of her brow. We're gonna brush through. I'm gonna fill in any of that lower section here. And now I'm going to brush down to fill in any gaps that I see now. Right here on the arch, I would just want to fill in this little empty spot. And very lightly fill in the hairline on the top and on the middle. And then you can go ahead and comb the hairs back into place. And now we have a very natural yet defined brow on that side. We'll do the same on the other side. Brushing the brow hairs up first. We're going to go ahead and fill in any of the gaps that we see on the bottom edge of the brow. Okay, we're going to blend up into the rest of the brow. Now we're going to brush down so we can fill in any gaps that we see on the top, mainly on the arch. and then very little bit in this inner corner here. And now brush the brows back into place so everything looks nice and uniform. And now we just have to balance between the two brows, making sure that everything looks really, really as close to uniform as possible. So now that the brows are done, I want to show you how easy it is to do a classic smoky eye now that there's absolutely no darkness on the eye whatsoever. So the first step that I like to do is the underbrow highlights. We're going to use our MAC shader brush, 239, flat little shader brush. And I will apply, let's see here, what are we going to use? Okay, we'll use my Tamana palette. Keep in mind, most of these colors you can still purchase on AnastasiaBeverlyHills.com. Fresh is an off-white, kind of a cream matte shade. And that's what I'll be using right under her brow bone. So let's go ahead and fill in her brow bone with that light shade by pressing in the color. You definitely want to press it in so it sticks to her skin instead of just dabbing it on where the product is going to fall all over the place and it's not even going to stick right. The other side. Pressing the product right into the skin. It also delivers the full punch of the pigment. All right, guys. Whip out your Tamana palettes. That's what we're going to be using in today's tutorial. If you don't have one, it's totally okay. Most of these colors are found on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website. And if you don't have any of these colors, I'm sure there's a lot of palettes out there actually that have very, very similar tones. So I'll explain what each one looks like and which ones are not available. So first of all, we did Fresh on the brow bone as a highlight using a flat 239 brush. So we just pressed it right under the eyebrow for a nice highlight, a matte highlight basically. And the second step was going in with a blending brush. This is the Morphe 441 brush right here. It's a nice blending brush. And we're gonna go into Bengal, which is a caramel tone, so a light caramel brown. And we're gonna use this color right in the crease in a swooshing action here. So like a windshield wiper, you're just gonna go back and forth. And now we have a very warm crease. Once you're done with your crease, you're gonna go in with chocolate. Same brush, I'm just digging into chocolate. Now chocolate is not available on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website as it's shown here. The chocolate on the website is shimmer. This chocolate in my palette is matte. So what you wanna look for is a dark matte brown, no shine. And you're gonna use that right underneath the layer of Bengal. So what we're creating right now is that perfect gradient of dark to light as we go up towards the brow bone. Just like that. So what you should see now is a nice dark lower crease blended up into a nice light upper crease. The reason why we're doing that first, before we apply all that dark on the lid, is because we're actually going to be using a dark brown gel eyeliner with a fluffy brush to fluff all over her eyelid. Now, if I did this first and then added a crease color, it would be harder. It would be harder to blend. So the blending part of it would be a little bit difficult because you're using a cream and a powder on top of it, and sometimes this cream will dry before you're ready to really blend it, and so it can get stuck in the crease and therefore create a very sharp edge where you want it more blended and you need more playtime. So what I'd rather do at this point is get that crease fully done. We have a perfect blend in the crease already, and now we can apply this dark brown all over her eyelid, and we'll know when to stop. We're going to stop right at that blend of the crease. And that way we don't go too high, there's no mistakes, and we don't have to blend this product too much because it's really gonna fluff right onto her eyelid rather than having to bring it up all the way into her crease. The brush we're gonna use for this is the Morphe 433 brush. You can also use MAC 217. I'm dipping it right in here and putting it on the back of my hand. And now, close. Fluffing from the bottom. So starting with the actual lash line, we're just going to apply a nice layer of this dark brown. And then wipe off the brush on the back of your hand, so now there's less product on your brush. And now you can blend it up until it touches your crease. So we're just letting it fade into that crease section, but we're focusing most of that product right on the lash line there. I'm gonna add a little more on the other side. We're gonna go darker, sultry, and beautiful. All right. So now we have this beautiful smoky top. All we have to do at this point is to set it with a dark brown eyeshadow on top, just so that nothing can make this stuff move. Now, this eyeliner is already pretty transfer resistant, but if anyone has oily eyelids, you know that even the waterproof eyeliners and the transfer resistant eyeliners are gonna move around. And this class is all about not having that raccoon or panda eye. We really want all the colors to stay intact and in its zone and never transfer and never move until we actually physically remove it. So we have to set this with powder. So I'm, with the same brush, I'm just wiping it down on a towel here. I'm going to dip into the chocolate, this dark brown matte shade, and we're going to now set it all over the lid. So now it's even more waterproof than it was before. Setting it, creating the perfect dark brown chocolate smoky eye. All right. That looks amazing. If you want to make it more warm looking, you can always go back to your blending brush, go back to the bangle color for that warm brown, and give an even smoother crease action here so that it really shows up as a warm brown. So now all we have to do is work on that lower lash line, create a nice smudgy effect below there, and then add maybe a little bit more black eyeshadow to this to make it a little bit darker, and then we will finish off with eyeliner and lashes. All right, so I am going to, what am I gonna do? I will use the same dark brown eyeliner. This is the dark brown gel liner. And the brush that I want to show you is a really cool brush, actually. It's called the Morphe 168 brush. It's this little stubby thing. So I'm going to scoop out some product, put it on the back of my hand as my palette, and go ahead and look up to the ceiling. I'm going to literally act as if this brush is my pencil, like a jumbo pencil. And I'm going to line the whole rim of the eye with this, and I'm going to bleed it over the edge of her lashes. All right, see how thick that is? Same on the other side. Going in as if this is a jumbo pencil or something. Lining the rim and lining over the edge of her lash line as well. Okay, so now that that is done, we can set it with dark eyeshadow. MAC 212 brush with the chocolate eyeshadow. MAC 212 flat liner brush here, liner smudger. And you're gonna look up all the way, and I'm gonna set the under eye with this so that it doesn't move around and it stays nice and strong here, nice and waterproof. I'm giving it a little smudging action so it doesn't look super sharp either. All right. Now with the same brush, I'm dipping into the noir, the black. This is the blackest black on the market. And she's gonna look up to the ceiling, and I'm gonna set the inside waterline by stamping the noir eyeshadow inside, and she's gonna blink a few times just to feel comfortable again before I move over to the other side. Look how deep and beautiful and sultry that looks already. Oh, love it. So set that waterline by stamping the black eyeshadow right in there. Okay. Lastly, for the bottom, sometimes I like to go in with a little sparkly eyeshadow. I want you guys to check out the Morphe 350 palette. This is the Morphe 350. So many different colors, lots of shimmers, lots of mattes. So I'm gonna choose, let's see, this one right here. This nice warm bronze shimmer color right there. And I'll use that same little stubby brush that we used underneath her lash line. The Morphe M168 brush, this little stubby fellow. Go into this bronze, and she's gonna look up all the way. And I'm gonna drag it right underneath all that blend that I did. And it's going to basically add a nice sparkly effect for this classic smoky eye, so it doesn't look super black. It actually gives a gorgeous golden bronze effect. And because she has green eyes with gold specks in it, it really does show off the multi-dimensional eye color she has. And of course, you can always flick off any of the particles that may have fallen using any loose kind of a flimsy brush. Alrighty, so now the bottoms are done. Now all we have to do is add eyeliner, and we're gonna add some mascara as well. So for the eyeliner, I'm going to be using Saleha Beauty Arabian Nights Liquid Liner. This is my current favorite eyeliner pen. You can use my code to get it. It's salehabeauty.com. My discount code is DYF15. Whatever you want on their website, you can go ahead and get it for 15% off using DYF15. So I'm gonna get this ink to start rolling here by doing it on my hand, and now she's gonna close her eyes. And I'm lifting her skin, and I'm just dragging sideways, dragging this pen all the way across. Open. And now I'm gonna work on the wing a little bit. Go ahead and close. So with the wing, she's just going to look sideways there. I'm gonna go very light with my stroke just to make a nice sharp wing. And then I'm going to connect it straight into the eyeliner. So that original wing stroke went down into her lash line, and then I go straight across into her eyeliner. Go ahead and open. And then it ends up looking a little bit more flowy from the eyeliner to her wing. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Close your eyes, and we're lifting up the skin. I'm getting right in there. I'm going stamping, stamping, working my way from one end to the other end. And a light touch for the wing. And connect it to the lash line and connect it across into the eyeliner. Gorgeous. Now, one more thing I want to show you is adding just a little bit of a black eyeshadow on the outer corner of the eye for some playful depth. So I'm going to use a very, very tiny blending brush. This is a very small blending brush, Haku Hodo. A similar one with Morphe is the Morphe 506, 505, 504. All of those brushes, which kind of look like this. This is the Morphe 411, which is a little bit wider and bigger, but the thinner ones are in the 500 range, which look more like this one. And I'm dipping right into the Noir eyeshadow. This is the black. And I'm just going to deposit this color right on this outer area of her eye. For those of you who've been my students for a while, you know this is one of my favorite things to do for many different eye looks, but especially for the darker eyes. What I'm doing here is I'm really creating this three-dimensional dark encasement for her smoky eye. So now, looking straight into the camera, you can see a more enclosed, sexier outer wing of her eye, where the wing and the eyeshadow really blend together, where on this side, it's just eyeshadow and a wing separately. But when you're adding that black eyeshadow in between the wing and the eyeshadow, you're getting a really cohesive look, and it blends so beautifully together, and it creates a very sexy, sultry outcome. So right in here, where her crease would meet her, where her lid space would meet her wing, that's where you want to add a little bit of that black, and you want to drag it in and drag it out so it doesn't look super, super sharp, but it also doesn't look super blended either. So you have to play around with this to find that right balance between blended and defined. All right, so now you can see how sexy that looks. Oh my God, I'm so in love. Now all we have to do is curl the lashes, apply some mascara, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna use my Shiseido eyelash curler. She's gonna look down to the floor, lifting up her lid. I'm gonna go ahead and now curl, let go, lift up the lid, curl, let go. I'm gonna do it one more time to really make sure I have that perfect curl. If you like to do the stepping effect where you just kind of let go, step, to really give that full curve, you can do that as well. But just so you know, clients like it to be done as soon as possible. They don't like this step. And now we're gonna use a little bit of mascara. So, let's see. Benefit They're Real is one of my favorite mascaras to use, so we're going to use this mascara here. And what I normally like to do is do the bottoms first and then do the tops. So when you're using mascara, it's very important, if the client's lashes are pretty long, you want to do the bottoms first, because when you do the tops, they have to look down, and sometimes their bottom lashes hit their cheek when it's fresh product on there, and then you have to clean up the cheek again. So I love to do the bottom first and then the top. So go ahead and look up to the ceiling. I'm gonna go ahead and apply on the bottom. She has nice long bottom lashes. And then before you do the top, you want to just kind of blend that bottom a little bit. So I go in with like any eyeshadow brush, a pointed one or a small one. Go ahead and look up. And I'm just going to blend any smudges that occurred from the mascara. Go ahead and face me a little bit. Yeah. So anything that looks a little funky, I'm just going to go ahead and fix with that. You can use your little smudgy buddy to blend any other areas that are looking a little off. All right, cool. We're done with the bottoms. Fan it to make sure it's completely dry. And now she can look down, and we're gonna do the tops. When I do the tops, I like my clients to look down to the floor and then I pull up on their eyelid. If the clients are looking straight ahead, they're going to be looking at this wand coming out their eye, and it's a very scary thought and scary sight to see. So I prefer them to just look at the floor and focus on that so that they're not really focused on that mascara wand coming at them. All right. So now that that's done, we're ready to apply lashes. I'm going to use the Tomato Lashes by flutterlashes.com so you guys can see how beautiful those look with everything. And these are my dream lashes. It took us a little over a year to design these. And in case you guys are new here and haven't seen these, they are, I'm gonna go a little closer here. They're nice and dense at the base and they have long wispies. And that's what makes them really versatile on every eye shape. You can actually get a very wispy effect using these, but it's not super natural and it's not super thick either. It's a good blend in between thick and natural lashes. But what I love the most is the length. It has this great long spikes of mink lash hair throughout the whole lash. So it really opens up the eyes and creates this gorgeous ethereal look. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I prep these lashes. Since it is real mink, there are some ways to prep them so you get the most out of it. And the coolest part is you can wear them like a million times before you have to throw them away. They're nice and resilient, they're handmade, they're reusable and all that good stuff. So I'm going to use my tweezers to help remove this for me. So now I have it in my hand. I'm going to trim them according to her eye size. So I'm going to hold it up against her eyes. And I only need to trim, for her eyes, I only need to trim the beginning and the end, the extra thread right there. So I'm going to trim the thread. And now here's my most favorite part of prepping the lashes is I curl them so that they really stick out. So right now they have a beautiful natural curve to them. I'll show you. How am I going to show you this? All right. So right now I have this natural curve here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this through my curler. And now look, they bend so strong. Look at that. Do you see that curve? I'm gonna do it again. See how it's sticking up? All the hairs are sticking up really nicely. Now you can really see the length of each hair. It's so gorgeous. So now, ooh, wow, you can really see it. Okay, cool. So now you can see what I did, and now it's ready to be glued on. So I'm gonna add a little bit of glue on the base of these lashes. And we'll go ahead and apply them on. The glue that I'm going to use is my black House of Lashes eyelash adhesive. It's latex free, so it's awesome for sensitive eyes. And I'm just going to glue them right across the strip. We're going to fan it in the air to get this glue to get really tacky and sticky before we apply it on her. The good news is this glue dries fast, so we don't have to wait too long. We're gonna let it get really tacky and sticky. And I'm going to start by centering the center of the false lash to the center of her eye. So she's gonna look down, and we're gonna sit it right on the center of her eye. We're gonna close in that outer corner, and then we're gonna close in the inner corner. Now she can close her eyes all together, and we're gonna push the band right up against her own roots of her eye. You can use nail or the back of the tweezer, however you want to do it. And now she's going to open, and you can see how stunning this lash looks. It's soft, it's fluttery, and it just defines so nicely. So let's do a side turn so you guys can see. Go ahead and look straight ahead, and you guys can see this lash. And we're going to turn this way as well. And you can see right up against my hand the curve of the lash. So this is why I curl my false lashes before I put them on, so that it matches the curl of her real lash, and it looks like it's really spiked out, and it looks absolutely stunning. So while that one dries, I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. Again, this is what the lash looks like without the curl. Very long and fluttery, very soft and feminine. We're gonna take it out of its packaging very carefully, and I'm going to curl them and just trim this little pokey edge and this little pokey edge. Make sure you're holding it nice and strong with your tweezer, and you're getting all the hair within the eyelash curler. And now see how the hairs stand up so beautifully. I'll just do it one more time so you guys can see again. And now we have this beautiful spiked up, fanned up lash look. Beautiful. Back in to apply the lash glue. And we're gonna wait for this lash glue to get really tacky and sticky by fanning it in the air and letting it dry just a little bit before we apply it on her. It's so gorgeous on you. I hope you guys are liking this class. It's my favorite. When my clients ask for a smoky eye inside, I'm like, hallelujah. It's easy and it looks the most beautiful in pictures. All right, so now that it's really tacky and sticky, we're gonna go ahead and match middle to middle, so center to center. And we're gonna set the outer corner, and then we're gonna set the inner corner, and then she can close her eyes, and we're gonna press the whole seal down onto her own eyelid, eyelash space. And now she can open her eyes, and we have completed the eyelash application. If you guys accidentally get any glue underneath, you can just use a clean brush to just rub off any areas that accidentally got any glue. You can also use a clean Q-tip, or I tend to just scrape off the area that got on. So a little bit got on her nosy, so I'm just scraping that little part off with my nail and then blending with my brush, and it's as good as new. Everything's looking amazing. So while that dries, I'm gonna go ahead and do her lips, and then we're gonna add more mascara to the tips of these lashes to really make those thin, long, wispy parts really stand out. I love to go super dramatic. So while the lips are happening, then we're gonna go ahead and do those tips of the lashes. And the reason why I like to go back and forth is because I really wanna make sure that her lashes are stuck on her and completely glued on before I add mascara to the tips. Otherwise it can pull and it can kind of ruin the whole eye makeup look. So for the lips, I'm going to use the Tarte Lip Paint in TBT, Tarte Lip Paint. I'm gonna apply a little bit onto the back of my hand, or if you wanna use the wand, just make sure that you are cleaning it with an alcohol spray in between uses, or you can use a disposable wand. And now I'm going to use my lip brush to apply it all across her lips. This product is a full coverage lip paint, so we don't necessarily need a lip liner with it, since it kind of does already offer a wonderful amount of definition on its own. All right, so bottoms are done. We're going to do the top. I'm just lining the edge of her lips first. This brush is, I don't know when I got this. This was a long time ago. It's a number 16 from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm not even sure what she would recommend using this brush for, but I love it for the lips. For me, it's the perfect size. And anything else you want to adjust, anything that you want to overline, you can go ahead and do that with the same brush. Open your mouth a little bit. Awesome. So now the lips are done, and now all we have to do is add a little bit more mascara to the eyes, and we can give you a full look of what this looks like. So I'm gonna use my finger as the guard in between her false lashes and her eyeshadow, because I don't want flecks of mascara getting on her eyeshadow. So what I'm going to do is use the tip of this mascara wand back and forth, or you could use your finger like I did and actually brush right through to remove any clumps. And I'm getting the tips of the false lashes covered in product, so you can actually see the spikes a lot better. And this is a great thing to do when you are doing smoky eyes. The whole eyelid is dark, so it's harder to see your false lashes. So it's always good to add a little extra fluff in your lash when you do have a smoky eye. So you can see a little bit more of a difference between this eye and the other eye. Beautiful. So you're gonna let the tips of your lashes catch some product. Okay, looking really nice. And now it just shows up so much better. And it's up to you how much product you want to use, but I'm pretty happy with this amount. So at this point, we are going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get the full face. And she's going to pose, my model's going to pose left to right so you guys can get your final screenshots in. For those of you who love to make collages for us, we absolutely love looking at your pose. Oh, stunning. Work it, girl, work it. Looks amazing. So just to recap, we started off with her foundation and her color corrector concealer, which is the orange color that we use under the eyes. Then we used the regular concealer, and we did the whole highlighting contour using the LA Girl Pro Conceals. And then after blending that, we set each zone of the face with a different color powder, just to keep that light and dark separated. Then we went in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit to re-brighten around all the highlight zones. And then all we had to do was the blush and the shimmer, and then the face was done. Then for the eyes, we started off with the brows. We used the Anastasia Brow Definer. I really love that. And then for the actual eye, we did the underbrow highlight first in a light creamy matte shade. And then we did the crease in Bengal. The underbrow color was called Fresh, by the way. Bengal was the crease color, and that one is more of a warm brown. And then we used a dark brown under that to create a little bit more of that gradient of dark to light. Then we filled in the whole eyelid using a dark brown gel eyeliner, which is Dip Down MAC Fluid Line. And we filled that whole area in with a fluffy brush. Then we set the whole eyelid with that same dark brown chocolate eyeshadow. And we used that same color underneath on the lower lash line with the smudged effect. We used the dark brown fluid line. We set it with chocolate eyeshadow. We put the noir eyeshadow inside for that black line. And then we added a shimmer bronze right along the bottom of her lash line to add a little sparkle. Then once we did the eyeliner, we also added a little black eyeshadow to that outer corner of the eye to complete that cat eye effect. And last but not least, we did the lashes and the lips, and this is the final result of the classic Smokey Eye plus the full face bonus tutorial for you guys. So now let's fully zoom out so I can get in and say hi. And we are going to say bye to our beautiful model. Why don't you tell everyone what your Instagram is? I tagged her in my latest post so you can find her, but if you guys want to follow her and give her some love, she is a professional model. I mean, obviously, you can tell. And she's just so stunning. I love her page, and I think you guys should totally check her out. Go ahead and spell your Instagram.
So it's Anjali, ANJJJALII.
So that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry about that glitch earlier. There's always, technologies like that. It's a little unpredictable, but I'm glad my tech team resolved everything so quickly and you didn't have to wait for too long, and now we're able to complete this class, and I'm so happy that my model was able to be here with us today. It was like the perfect canvas for us to work on so we can learn about how to do a smoky eye without showing off dark circles. So hope you guys learned a lot. Again, why don't you go ahead and, if you have suggestions for me, of course you can always comment, but the best way to do it so that I really understand that this is a DYFL suggestion is to post a post on your Instagram pages. Make sure your pages are not private so I can actually see, and hashtag JustYourFaceLive. So post pictures from today's class or any of the classes in the past. Tell me what your favorite part about class was. What did you learn from this class that you didn't know before? And then I also want you to tell me what you want me to teach next time so I can add that to our list and make sure you always have classes that you love. I don't ever plan on stopping, so keep all the suggestions coming. I'm here for you always. Until next time, this is Dress Your Face on dressyourfacelive.com. Love you all, and I'll see you online on Instagram. Mwah.